Welcome to the Cara Michelle Show, where we break out of the matrix together and return heaven to earth. This is a place for the spiritual seekers and leaders, the dreamers and doers, the conscious creators and world changers. You can expect a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but mostly a whole lot of purpose, freedom, and sovereignty. And of course, all things quantum. May this podcast serve you in remembering the truth of who you are, all that you came here to do, and how deeply supported you are in doing it. You are incredibly powerful and your mission is protected. So it's time to dial up your frequency and recalibrate to your higher self and limitless potential. Get ready, because we're about to blast off. A new reality awaits you on the other side. I'll see you there. Welcome back, my beautiful dreamer. You are going to jump timelines really quickly when you apply the things that I'm about to share with you in today's episode. And eek, it's a really exciting one because I feel like I haven't really dove into quantum stuff in a little bit on this podcast, and it's like, why haven't I done that? I've been so sidetracked and excited just sharing and talking about things. But if you are at a current stage in your life, and this could be applied to like career, relationships, lifestyle, confidence, body image, weight, like it could be applied to any single area across the board. I have done it in my own life towards all of those categories. I've also supported clients and students, and I've been mentoring people to do the same thing in all of those categories. So I really want to run home the fact that like it doesn't matter what it is you're desiring or wanting to shift into or jump into, it is possible, and these same practices or tools or shifts that I'm about to share all apply regardless. Okay, so before we get started, let's get into the juicy energy of what you're calling in and what it is that you are currently desiring, what you want to step into in your reality, and like take a nice deep breath and just really feel into this, pulling this energy up to the surface and allowing you to just really feel it in your body of like, how amazing and grateful and excited and like pleasure filled you will be when this is already done. And allowing yourself to sit with that before I move into how we're going to jump into that timeline. Ooh, do you have it? Okay, good. Let me just continue having a conversation with myself in my mind. I'm thinking you're like, yes, Kara, I got it. I'm ready. Let's go. So that's what we're going to do. Now, I want you to think about that version of you, because a quantum jump or a timeline jump, it comes from shifting your identity. You're going to hear me talk about this all the time because we live in a reality where our thoughts, our actions, our habits dictate what we end up creating and attracting, as well as our energetic signature. So, like, literally, the things you're doing each day are creating the timeline that you're operating on. And I'd love for you to see it as like a railroad track or something. And especially when you're doing the same thing every single day, you're waking up. Joe Dispenza talks about it. I forget what the percentage is, but something like 90% of people wake up and their first thoughts are the exact same things as they thought yesterday. So you've literally woken up and you've just planted yourself back on the timeline that you probably don't want to be on, or jumped on that railroad track to walk the same path as yesterday. And chances are you did the same thing the day before that and the day before that. And so this is your timeline. This is your reality right now. You're walking the same track every single day. And when we're making a huge quantum leap, it's because you're disturbing the pattern It's like you're literally shaking the pathway, shaking yourself, shaking the actions, the habits, the thoughts, and saying, like, go over here, take this path, do something different, redirect, go somewhere new, respond in a totally different way, right? You are operating from outside the program, from outside your current patterned self or programmed self. And as most people on the planet continue to create the same thing over and over again, it's because they don't ever shake the pattern. They don't ever disrupt the program that they're playing. They just continue to flow with it and create more of it. This is why, for myself, there are certain patterns and loops that I've experienced. We all have them. Typically, they come from childhood trauma and experiences that were programmed into our subconscious very young, and we repeat those things. And it isn't until you finally shake that version of you and you shake the pattern and are like, I'm not staying here. I will not tolerate this. I will not continue down this path. Oftentimes, for myself included, it comes from a rock bottom where you're like forced to make a change. And hopefully, ideally, my beautiful listener, hopefully you're not in that place right now. But if you are, uh, that's beautiful because you can only go up from here. But oftentimes it comes from the rock bottom, or it comes from, ideally, the conscious decision of, I want to create something different and I'm going to do whatever it takes, which means, as I said, shifting the pattern. So what you usually do in your daily reality, we don't want to continue operating from that self, because cause and effect. What you put out is what you're going to get back. So, feeling into the energy, the juicy, beautiful energy of the reality you're wanting to create, and the timeline, or timeline you're wanting to jump into, what would that version of you be doing throughout the day? How would they be operating? Would they have the exact same routine that you have now? Would they be thinking the same thought the first thing when they wake up in the morning? Or would they be thinking something amazing and positive because they already have the reality they desire? Let's give a super practical example of this. Before I hit my first 10K month, I was struggling financially. And so my beliefs, usually in the morning, my pattern was to wake up, and first thing in the morning, I would start to think about lack. I would focus on the fact that I didn't have money. I didn't have an email notification with a random client or something. I would beat myself up and be judgmental, negative, all the things, because I wasn't where I wanted to be. And so I started my day from this program, or from this railroad track. And then I continued my day operating from this version of me who was struggling and who had lack and who didn't have her goal of the 10K month. The way I was able to jump onto the timeline and create that in my reality had nothing to do with physical action, and it had everything to do with the identity of who I was being. So before the money even showed up, I started to become that version of me. And I would wake up and I would think the thoughts of, like, oh, I live in overflow. Oh my goodness, I can sleep in today if I want to because money's coming in. My business is thriving. I'm so financially supported. I don't need to stress about the how because, my systems are operating. I've got a beautiful, loving creator who's also the ultimate like provider and bringing the finances in whatever channel it's meant to. So how would I operate now? I'm going to jump on a different railroad track, and I'm immediately waking up on the right side of the bed. I'm operating from a state of abundance. and vibrating in a frequency of abundance, because there are two very different frequencies from these examples that I'm sharing, right? So I would go throughout my day, and then I would be creating and showing up in my business from like excitement and overflow instead of from scarcity or lack or expectation of failure. Very, very different. And even recently, because I was revamping a lot of things, I was back in that lower self, and I created more from the lower identity. And it took me shifting into no, 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 let's get on the timeline we want to be on, because in a quantum reality, and in an energetic reality, because we're energy first, every single thing you could possibly imagine exists. I forget who said it, probably Einstein, someone super smart, way smarter than me, talked about how, like, if you can imagine it, it's because it's possible. Like, we wouldn't be able to think of it and imagine it if it couldn't be done. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy, and that doesn't mean it's going to happen like tomorrow, but it means it's possible. And when we look at quantum particles and quantum theory and how energy interacts with other energy, right? Um, we always get the vibrational match, and there's such a thing as particle theory, where what happens to one particle instantaneously happens to its corresponding match. So if you took one particle and you split it in two and you sent them super, super far away from each other, and then you did something to one half of that particle, the other half would respond the exact same way at the exact same time as if you had taken the stimulus to it, right? Instead of its counterpart. So I want you to imagine now, to bring this back into like grounded, simple terms, imagine that the feeling, the juicy feeling you tuned into at the beginning of this episode, the timeline you're wanting to jump into, it already exists. That's a fact. That's like literally proven through quantum physics. So congratulations, you've already done it. Let's celebrate. You that already exists. That's already there. It's already possible. It's just waiting for you to become the match. That particle, we can say, imagine that you and the desire are one particle that just got split in two and separated. Maybe separated by a lot of time, maybe separated by a lot of space, maybe separated by many other things that got in the way or in the middle. But you, at one point, were one. You were unified. And in fact, energetically speaking, we are all one. We are all fractals of God, fractals of Source in different bodies, in different beings, animals, the earth, substances. But it's all energy, and it's all creation that turned into matter. So everything that you can imagine is actually one with you. But like I said, it's just that the particle got split and separated across time, space, dimensions, realities, all the things. Whew, are you still with me? Yes? Okay, let's keep going. So if you already are this reality, if you already are this identity, this version of you, if you knew with certainty, without a shadow of a doubt, that this already belonged to you, it already was a part of your reality, by quantum theory, that is proven, as I've said. So, like, it's all about just being it now, because then by law of attraction and by this particle theory, it will be drawn to you. So when I started to act and think and have the identity, which meant changing my habits, changing the beliefs that I was giving power to, changing the ways I spent my time and the people I associated with, becoming like, if I already had 10K months, this is how I would operate. This is who I'd surround myself. This is what I wouldn't have time for. By becoming that, it's like a little light switch goes on, and I became that vibrational match. I became one, you could say, with that particle. Just to make it really, really simple. And this is obviously like not the best explanation, but it's like a simplified version. So I'm visual and I'm imagining this one particle, and it's 10K month reality. And that particle got split up into two, and it still exists. It still exists. It's just different. It's just outside of myself. So once I became it, that law of attraction came into play, and it's like it got pulled into my reality so that I could reunify. I could become one with what I always was and what was always meant for me. Okay? Same thing with, you hear it all the time about soulmates and stuff like that, and it's like, they're half of my soul. It's like, well, we technically are all connected through energy. But yes, if you have a desire to manifest a counterpart, then it's truly about, how would I be if they were already here? What is that identity look and feel and act like? And then if I become them now, by law of attraction, that vibrational match gets pulled back into my physical reality, because I'm already operating as though they're here. I'm already whole. I'm already in that unified state. Okay? So your quantum jump that you're calling in is going to happen now, because after you finish listening to this episode, you're going to spend the rest of your day acting as if, and playing in your imagination, playing in the quantum, playing in the limitless, infinite realm of possibilities, that it's already here, because your desire already exists. It's already out there. It's looking for you. It's like equally excited and stoked to have you in its life. Imagine it like they're being like, like it's excited, it's magnetic to you, and wants to give you this big hug and celebrate that you're about to come into union and be together again, or be together for the first time. It's like it wants to be with you as much as you want to be with it. So, since that's the truth, and since now you understand, all it takes is you becoming the match for it, and then you detach from it. Like, you don't need to stress, you don't need to question, you don't need to worry about how or how soon, when's it going to show up. It's like, if it's already here, you just get to go about your day as though that's it. And this is where most people get stuck. And this is, anytime I've sabotaged, it's because of this exact reason. It's because I get too attached, and my logical mind wants to know the how, or I want to control, or think I need to do something to make it happen, when in fact, pretty much the opposite is true. And there's nothing I need to do or force. I just need to be the version of me who already has it. So that means, staying with the income goal example, not overthinking, not overanalyzing, not forcing a bunch of things, and just being like, oh yeah, since this is my truth, I did this when I was in Mexico and I was manifesting my first 20K month. It was like, since this is my truth, I can go walk the beach today, and I don't need to sit here and like create more work for myself. I don't need to work harder. I don't need to force things. It's also how I manifested a book deal and then having a best-selling book, because I was just already getting into the energy and the identity of, I'm a best-selling author. I'm going to head to Scotland and write my book. And all of a sudden, this opportunity to collaborate came in, and I co-authored, and it was featured in Forbes and hit number one and stuff like that. And it was like, I didn't really force it. I just became the identity where, like, that was my truth. And so I did some writing, I simplified other things, I didn't panic or force, like I said. It was just like, since I'm a best-selling author, here's how I would spend my day. Since I'm making 20K months, here's how I would spend my day. Since I have my soulmate or my soul family, this is how I would spend my day. You become it now, and that particle theory, just imagine that you are becoming it now, and that is what magnetizes the desire to you. And you'll be shocked. Like, if you do that and you let go of the attachment, you will be shocked at actually how quickly it does show up, because there are no limits to how quickly God and the universe can conspire and how quickly this can show up, because you're operating outside the confines of 3D time. The quantum isn't ruled by our 3D time space reality. That's why it's called quantum healing. That's why I love it, because it's like we're operating outside of that. We're connecting to the energetic realm where instantaneous healing can occur. Instantaneous manifestation can occur. There is no limit to how big something can be that manifests when you're operating in that realm. So that's your homework. Is like, be in the juicy energy of it's already here. Ask yourself, since that's the truth, how am I going to show up today? And you are now repatterning in a new identity. You might find yourself wanting to take the old railroad track. You might find yourself waking up in the morning wanting to think the old thoughts. That's totally normal. Don't feel like a failure. Don't feel like you've just ruined it all, but just get yourself back over to the track that you want to be on. Of like, no, no, actually, that version of me is gone because I have 10K, or that version of me is gone feeling sad and lonely because my partner's here beside me and I'm waking up next to them and I'm full of so much joy and love. So you, by who you're being, determine the reality that's going to come into fruition, that's going to attract to you. Okay, so get on the railroad track that you want to be on and like run with it and have so much fun as you do it, because you're creating as you go. And that's such a beautiful experience and a beautiful feeling. And if more bumps come along the way, if there's something that you feel is really holding you back, or you notice there's like a block and something from childhood or deep in the subconscious, a pattern that comes to the surface, that is where my quantum healing hypnosis bundles are like the game changer for you, because they are filled with different hypnosis tracks as well as trainings, and really just supporting you in breaking out of this on the deepest possible level and reprogramming your subconscious, changing your energetic signature or your energetic blueprint. And they're created for all the different things that you could think of that you're wanting to manifest or shift in your reality. So start with this. But if you're looking for more support and you want to have something to listen to then reprogram your subconscious to become a match for that even faster, that link is in the description, and that is where I would suggest you start. But in the meantime, take all of this energy. Like, let's just play a game of like, I'll stop talking soon, I promise. Let's just play a game of like, the second you turn this episode off, boom, your new reality's here. How would you act? go play in that. Go have so much fun imagining and acting and becoming that, and keep it up. You know, keep doing that for the rest of today. And then again, you wake up tomorrow, you get on that track, and it's going to be amazing because that identity shift is what leaps you into a totally different timeline. And it's going to blow you away. So I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to go do this myself and jump into a new reality, a new timeline, and we're going to have some big celebrations, my love. So we'll talk soon.